Hello, everyone. On today's IRS Tax Refund update, we're going to take a look at the latest this tax season, including the release date for the next round of tax refunds scheduled to go out this week. We'll also see how things are going with this tax season with the processing of those tax returns. We'll then recap the three top reasons that are causing refund delays, not only for those of you still waiting on refunds from this past year, but also for those continuing to wait on their refunds from last year. Now, starting off with the next batch of tax refunds scheduled for release by the IRS on March 29th, as confirmed by the refund status results seen here. If you're part of this latest batch, do allow up until April 3rd to receive that in your bank account before initiating a payment trace. With the refund status results still not always displaying the most up to date information, make sure to verify by accessing your tax transcripts. Meanwhile, the next round of paper checks refunds are scheduled for release on March 31st. Now, taking a look at the latest this tax season, as the IRS has processed 71.4 million tax returns out of 71.8 million filed, which has the IRS at a 99.4% processing rate, which is up from 97.3% processed at this point last year. 53 million refunds have been issued already versus 51 million filed at this point last year, even as the total amount of tax returns filed this year is actually down by 0.5% from last year. For those of you waiting on amended returns, the backlog number has grown in the past month and is now at 883,000 unprocessed returns, which include both amended returns filed this year and last year. The IRS has stated that the processing time on these can take more than 5 months, and we've had viewers who waited over 1 year for their amended returns to be processed and refunds issued. If you filed recently your amended return, do expect additional wait times as a result, possibly into this fall. For those of you still waiting on your tax returns to be processed, the backlog is now at 2,070,000, which is slightly up from last week's total of 2,040,000. Of the 2,070,000, remaining 406,000 are tax returns filed this year, with the rest being filed last year. The paper return backlog is now at 473,000, with e-file returns and those requiring special processing at over 1.6 million. The IRS is combining both years' backlog, and so it's making it difficult to see what is remaining from last year. Now, moving on to the reasons for those ongoing tax return processing and refund delays, starting off with ID verification. This is a regular cost for those experiencing delays this year, but still for even those waiting on last year's refunds. Now, for those who need to complete ID verification, they were supposed to receive this letter, the 5071C letter, notifying them. However, there are instances, especially last year, where the taxpayer never received this letter in the mail and had no way of knowing the refund was on hold due to this reason. It was only after reaching a taxpayer advocate or the IRS did they become aware of this issue, in some cases 8 to 10 months after filing their tax return. If you're among this impacted group, you must complete 2 steps, which is verifying your identity, but also verifying information from the tax return you filed. Both steps need to be completed before processing can continue and the refund issued. One question asked is if I need to complete ID verification, but I never received this letter. First, you want to access your transcripts to see if the IRS has sent out any notices recently, which will appear as 971 on the tax transcript. If so, you'll want to confirm with the IRS, and we're hearing much better answer rates this year because of additional staffing or by speaking to the taxpayer advocate. The second reason for delays this year has to do with audits, particularly for those who claimed the Earned Income Tax Credit. Now, this applies to those filers who had been claiming the same dependent for many years now, and those who had even been under previous audit. If you receive the CP75 notice like seen here, you will want to submit any documentation being requested immediately in order to receive that refund. Last year, a significant number of taxpayers never even responded to this notice, which resulted them in being rejected for that EITC. The third common reason for delays has to do with the IRS still needing to process a taxpayer's employer's wage information. This is needed to verify the income you entered on your tax return is an accurate amount and in fact, what matches versus what your employer has submitted on their tax returns. At the moment, the employer tax return backlog is 210,000, but the amended employer return backlog is at 853,000. If you're among this impacted group, do expect to receive the 60-day notice as seen here. Let us know in the comment section below about your ongoing tax return or refund issue. In the meantime, we'll keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.